Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Back to do another video, different type of video. I had my first mock draft go up on SteelersDepot.com on Wednesday. Wanted to do a video version of it for the channel for you guys. We'll have a couple photos, a little bit of video during this mock draft, just to kind of give this video some color. Hopefully I edit this thing together nicely. We'll find out together. But my first mock draft, wanted to get your thoughts on it. Do have the Steelers third round comp pick included in this. While not official, can safely assume they'll get a third round compensatory pick for Le'Veon Bell. So, without further ado, in my mock draft at number 49, I have the Steelers taking tight end Brycen Hopkins out of Purdue. Now, generally they go with an underclassman, especially in the first round, but obviously no first round pick this year. And I think in a lot of other ways, Hopkins checks a lot of those key boxes for the Steelers. He's a Power 5 guy. He's got NFL bloodlines. When the Steelers love to take guys that have, fathers that have played in the NFL before, whether you're talking Cam Hayward or Devin Bush or Terrell Edmonds. I mean, the list goes on. And Hopkins' dad, Brad, played in the NFL as offensive tackle for the Oilers and Titans for 13 seasons. He's a guy with a high level of production, a good athlete who told me at the Senior Bowl he's probably going to run somewhere in the 4.6s. He's got experience as a blocker and lining up in a three-point stance. It's certainly not his strength. He recognizes that. I think he will get better at it. Again, your dad played offensive tackle in the NFL. He's training him, I think, down in Nashville throughout the pre-draft process. You're probably going to get better as a blocker, and I think this desire and want to and the recognition that he has to work at it. So I think it's an area he can get a lot better at, and as a receiver, I think he's a threat after the catch. I think he's a threat in the open field. He certainly can be a mismatch. A little on the small side, came in under 6'4", which is a bit of a concern. Weighed in 6'3" and 3/4, 241, which is a tad bit small, but in the tight end class that isn't great. I think he's one of the better ones out there. And again, just knowing the Power 5, the bloodlines, all those kind of boxes you got to hit, productivity as well. I think Hopkins does that. So tight end a big need, even if Vance comes back. I mean, you got to have someone to be that tight end too, and maybe move on from Vance after next year, and Hopkins going to send into that full-time role more in 2021. But you plan now and get yourself an asset in the middle of the field. That leads me into the third round pick, that comp pick, James Proche, wide receiver from SMU. And this one surprised myself even a bit, just kind of thinking about it and going through and ultimately mocking Proche to Pittsburgh. But what it came down to was the Steelers need middle of the field help. In 2018, 33%, basically a third of their completions and yards came over the middle of the field. Last year, only 25% of their completions and yards came from the middle of the field, and that's a relative number. Obviously, quarterback play impacted things, but still just in the percentage, just taking the relative number, you saw a significant decrease. And with Vance struggling and Juju hurt, those are big reasons why those numbers decreased as significantly as they did. Now, granted, Juju will come back, but still he's going to play on the outside a lot. What happens if Washington or Deontay Johnson get hurt? Juju's going to have to kick out even more. There is no really other slot threat on this team right now at wide receiver. So I don't see receiver as a number one need as compared to, say, tight end or nose tackle or safety depth and stuff like that. I look at receiver like corner, where you got to be at least 4 deep at the position. Otherwise, you're really going to be struggling if and inevitably when someone gets hurt. So I think Proche is a really good slot receiver with big hands for his frame, almost 9 3/4 hands for a 5'10" guy. Obviously going to get some Manny Sanders comparisons. Had a nice Senior Bowl week. Wasn't the most impressive guy in Mobile, but I think a guy that highly productive, which is something they look for when drafting guys. Proche had a really strong career, especially in the last 2 years, with kick and punt return value, which will also be important to the team. So a lot of ways to make an impact day one, even if he's not going to start. Maybe Deontay Johnson, obviously going to be a punt returner. We'll see what happens in the kick return game. You have an option there, and that's always going to be important and help boost that value in year one. So Proche, the third round comp pick. In round 4, I have nose tackle, going defense for the first time here, Devon Hamilton from Ohio State. Nose tackle, and obviously with Javon Hargrave almost certainly to be playing elsewhere in 2020. Hamilton's a guy that's kind of a little more towards old school than new, but a guy with good power, gets penetration, isn't a dominant pass rusher. He's not a Novelli Gallimore or someone like that, or even a Hargrave type, but a guy that I think does a good job to play with power. He's got strength on his bull rush, can hold the point of attack, and a guy with good size at just under 6'4", 327 with some decent length as well. So, I don't think he's going to replace one-to-one Hargrave's pass rush snaps. I think you do that by having a healthy Stephon Tuitt by seeing if Isaiah Bucks can improve and take a big step forward in year 2, which I think he's capable of. And then Hamilton's going to be kind of more your traditional base nose tackle. So I think that's how you get the replacement for Hargrave, of him being your base nose tackle, where Tuitt and Bugs help replace Hargrave in terms of the sub-package pass rushing role that he offered so well. So Ohio State guy, Steelers obviously go to that well quite a bit. Guy I'm sure they're going to be familiar with and probably are going to have interest in the pre-draft process. Also in round 4, going underclassmen here. You always got to throw in a couple underclassmen for the Steelers. Sadiq Charles, who played left tackle mostly at LSU, probably going to kick to guard at the NFL level. He's kind of small, listed at 6'4", 295. So probably profiles more of an interior guy. Potentially could even learn how to play center as well. But a guy I don't know a ton about, especially compared to some of the Senior Bowl guys I watched in Mobile. Charles, an underclassman, one of the many Tigers that declared early. But obviously a need. I mean, your team could easily cut Ramon Foster, probably more likely not. BJ Finney is going to be a free agent. His team was gutted by losing Fred Johnson and Patrick Morris. You really got to replenish the interior, really the offensive line in general. So I think Charles is a young guy, seems to be a good athlete, played well in the title game, that can come in and be that backup. And again, you just really have to attack the depth that's really lacking along the offensive line. Round 6, going to another underclassman. This pick kind of reminds me of Ryan Mundy. I went Geno Stone, the safety from Iowa, local product, went to Newcastle, PA, got overlooked by basically every big school except for Iowa, goes there and has a successful year, came out a year early, had 4 picks as a sophomore in 2018. A guy that's probably an average to below average athlete, and there is probably a good case to go against this pick, because when the Steelers draft safeties, they generally go with some pretty strong athletes at the position, and Stone's unlikely to be that kind of guy. But safety depth is a need. I wanted to go with an underclassman because I wanted to give them at least 2 underclassmen in this mock draft, and that's the case with Stone and Charles. And again, just safety depth is not there. Jordan Dangerfield isn't even under contract right now. He's supposed to be a restricted free agent. Cameron Kelly was clearly not the guy last year. He fell out of favor pretty quickly. Marcus Allen is back, but I mean, the guy didn't make the team last year, kind of took a step back. He's played like 37 snaps in 2 years with Pittsburgh, so you got to add safety depth. And while you have your starters in Edmonds and Minka, what happens if one of those guys goes down? I mean, you just have nothing there. Now, Stone's probably not going to be the answer to that. He's a 6th-round pick. I mean, if you're counting on Stone, Steelers are in trouble, but you do want to address the position. And this is a difficulty of the mock where you only have 6 picks to work with, limited money in free agency. It's going to be difficult, but you do the best you can. Geno Stone in round 6 to Pittsburgh. And then finally, to round things out, 7th round, you're just trying to find guys that'll be talented, can compete, come and make your team better. Going back to offensive line, a teammate of Charles, Adrian McGee, who played left tackle and played left guard with and next to Sadiq Charles, and just a big guy. Steelers, when they draft offensive linemen, they typically go big, whether you're talking Gray last year or many other examples of that. Gerald Hawkins was a bigger guy, LSU guy, too, by the way, and McGee's listed at 6'4", 343. One of the more physical guys, and kind of reminds me of Zach Banner, where he's, kind of a goofy dude off the field and source of levity. Actually got him in some trouble early in his career at LSU, but seemed to mature and earn the coach's trust. So you got to address, again, offensive line. I think no team understands the depth and value of the offensive line position more than Pittsburgh. So an area this team certainly has to address, and I think you just attack it with as many guys as possible and add to that group as much as possible and make that group as competitive as you can, because they're going to need it. Because, again, this team's just been gutted here throughout really the last 12 months, especially assuming that Foster and Finney aren't going to be Steelers in 2020. To round things out, that's my mock draft. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just go through it one last time here. I have Bryson Hopkins in round 2, James Prochet, the receiver, in round 3, Devon Hamilton, nose tackle, round 4, Sadiq Charles, tackle guard, round 4, round 6, I should say, Geno Stone, the safety from Iowa, and round 7, Adrian McGee. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your comments in the comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.